Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Seeds of Success podcast, hosted by Dottie San Martin and Orly Rivera. This show is your weekly dose of knowledge, insights, and actionable tips to transform centers into striking successes. Whether you are a seasoned industry professional or just stepping onto the lanes, we've got you covered. Dottie, Miss Dottie San Martin, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm all set and ready to. What are we going to talk about?
So today what I want to talk about, I kind of have questions myself, and I know that you worked in a center for a long time and ran a center for a long time. You know, when it comes to leagues, we have leagues, fall leagues are going to be starting up here pretty soon. I always kind of wondered, let's say I'm taking my whole, my job. We have all these workers that want to start a league somewhere, and there's multiple centers around us. How do you go about picking where you should take your league? Is there things you should be looking for, that stand out at certain bowling centers? And I kind of just want to talk about that today and just kind of go more into detail about that. And, how do you share that with people so they do know? Just kind of want to talk about that today.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely an appropriate topic for this time of year. And, here we are mid-July, and this is the time that fall leagues, just because they're bowling at a bowling center today, last fall, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to shop around and look around. And, it's not uncommon for leagues to pick up and move the entire league to another bowling center. So this is definitely an appropriate topic, and the timing is perfect because you want to make sure when you have people come in, and they're inquiring about, hey, do you have availability on Tuesday night at 7:00? I have 20 lanes of league, and we're shopping around for a new home. So we want to make sure is not happening is that your staff or whoever is either getting that call or engaging with that customer as they come up to the desk is just giving them a price.
Okay.
And there's a lot more that goes into what you provide. And when you just give them a price, they are just taking it based on that, and they're making their own assumptions, right?
Yeah.
So that's really important. And to go back to your question about what are some of those things that you should be looking for, that is the same thing that you want to prepare your staff to showcase when somebody comes in and is inquiring about what do you charge for league lineage. You need to make sure that you are sharing with them all of these things. So let's kind of talk about that just a little bit. You brought up a good point.
I guess the question too, before you get into all the details, would you recommend, and maybe I know every center might be different. Would you recommend having one person to take those calls, or would you rather kind of let everybody know a little bit enough to where they can share that, or maybe have it in some kind of binder or something? What would you recommend?
Yeah. So normally, most houses have like a league coordinator that will house those, that will take care of those customers coming in and inquiring or even manage those phone calls. But if that person is not there, you definitely can, have somebody that can just get the basic information of what that person's looking for and then have the appropriate person call them back. The other suggestion, obviously, would be to make sure that you're driving, people to your website and letting them know that they can contact you that way, and that you have a league page that is, a good representation of what you offer. Okay. Of course, you don't want to give away, all the little details. You want to save some of those so that the competitor, doesn't try to steal your thunder. But, even the littlest things that sometimes we take for granted, like, for example, auto scoring. We take it for granted that we're going to send, that we have the ability within our scoring systems to send the league bowlers' names out to the lanes in advance, and their handicaps and all that kind of stuff. So when the bowlers walk in, they're ready to start practice play and get right on with it. And that's a feature, right? Yeah. As well as you pull those scores back, and it takes them right back into the office, and you can double check them and so on and so forth. That's a feature. It's a time saver for the customer, right?
Yeah.
And something that you definitely need to make sure that you're letting people know that you have that capability. Um, and do you do league statistics? If you do league statistics, do you post your scores online? What perks do you have for league bowlers? What have you gotten new in your center that is to the benefit of your league bowlers, like lane machines? I mean, that's something they're very interested in. That getting a new lane machine, that's interesting to them. So make sure you know that. Did you get new scoring? Things along
Probably
those
even something
lines.
as simple as, our full kitchens open until leagues are over, or you know what I mean? Or, we have a full stocked bar, or because sometimes, they might only serve appetizers, but if you're like, our kitchen's open, the whole menu's open the whole time. And maybe even something as simple as, we have an arcade for the kids, because sometimes people bring their kids along
Exactly.
and they might not want to just sit there the whole time.
Exactly. Those are all very important things to make sure that you're letting them know. And even as far as like your food and beverage items, do your league bowlers, do you have any sort of perks for your league bowlers? Do you offer, certain times where they can come in and practice at a discounted rate? Do you do, a loyalty program? Do they get a special price on shoes? Do they get, any sort of food and beverage discounts? All of those things are really things that we don't always think that we need to let people know about, but those are all very valuable things that you are adding. It's about the experience that they get in your center, not about the price it is for 3 games of bowling.
Yeah.
And the other thing, to mention that sometimes is really overlooked, but is extremely valuable. Leagues are always looking for ways that they can cushion that prize fund. So, uh, at least the Cubica AMF centers, Best X centers, you have the ability to offer leagues a really nice perk by going out and seeking sponsorship. So if the league finds a sponsor, you can create a custom scoring grid that's used during the entire league night that has the sponsor's logo
Okay.
on it. So for everybody that's in the center to see, right? And if you offer online scoring, they can even see it, that way. Anyway, to be able to put their logo on that scoring screen and also as a signature welcome screen, that is digital advertising that's worth big bucks for the sponsor, and a perk that you can absolutely let your leagues go out and seek sponsorship for their league to get additional prize fund.
Yeah, and what I was going to ask you, and you kind of talked about already, was kind of, maybe you don't have the money to go spend on some new big things. There's things you can do that you already have, like that. If you already have scoring
Uh-huh.
system, you can do that. You could do the grid with the logo on there, or you could do, perks, like you said, maybe a discount on shoes, or maybe not even perks that are going to affect them that night, but maybe like, here's a coupon to come back later in the week and get a discount on bowling, and that gets them back and maybe just to bowl with their family. So, those aren't things that you have to necessarily go spend extra money on. Those are all things that you could do with what you already have.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even like back to the sponsorship thing, even if you want to get multiple sponsors, you can have a signature scoring grid that has all the sponsors listed on it. You don't have to just limit it to one. So really, the possibilities are unlimited. But everything that you do that changes the experience in your center for competitive bowlers, even if you offer wait staff, let them know you offer wait staff. That's a convenience. If you have a kiosk that they can go in and conveniently place their orders and not have to wait in line at the restaurant or snack bar to place their orders, that is a benefit. That is a reason that they would want to bowl in your center versus, the center down the street. So, I know this is a lot that we're throwing at our listeners right now, but now's the time. Look at what you have and make sure that you are including all of these things, even things that you may not be using, but that would be attractive to lure someone into your center to have their competitive experience at your house. Those are all extremely valuable and can help you get more business in your center.
Yeah, and I mean that makes a big difference. Like you mentioned kiosk, hey, like when they call in, well, one thing we do is we have a kiosk, so it helps with orders when we're busy that night, because it could be really busy during a league night. Yeah, just simple things like that. Because I mean, I know if I went into Orly Bolorama down the road. And I'm like, man, they always have long lines. They only have one waitress. But you say, over here we have a couple waitresses. We have the kiosk. So, you're never waiting too long to put in an order. I think that makes a big difference. And, nobody wants to wait for food. I know when I'm hungry and thirsty.
You're so right. And, like I said, we take a lot of these things for granted. I remember one time a lead came to me and I mentioned, just kind of in casual conversation, I mentioned lane chatter because it's a really, lane chatter is where you can chat between the lanes. And the secretary was talking about how much time they spent running up and down getting people to pay their money. And I said, oh, well, you should just use lane chatter. And they were like, lane chatter, what's that? And I said, well, you can text message another console down the way. If you need somebody to bring the thing, make them come to you and not you go to them. Right. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. Why didn't I know about this? And I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's those little things that you don't really realize make a big difference in the overall experience. So folks, put your checklist together. If you're out there listening, the leagues do shop around. Companies are looking for ways to keep their employees motivated and having fun outside the workplace. So, if you're not actively having calls coming in for those companies, don't be afraid to go to them and say, here's what we offer.
Yeah.
Can we interest you in starting, a corporate league? And a lot of times, Orly, those companies are even willing to pay a portion of it. Sometimes I've seen even league companies that have paid all of it because it's worth it for them to have some sort of outside the workplace camaraderie going on.
Yeah, no, I think those are all great things for people. And like you said, we take some of these things for granted and you might think, man, I don't have anything new this year. Hopefully they want to still come back, but just let them know, the customer service is still great. Like it's always been, short lines or, plenty of staff. And I think that's going to make a difference. And hopefully they want to keep coming back to your center.
I totally agree. Well, listeners, thanks so much for joining us again today. As you can see, Orly and I get really excited about really anything that goes on when it comes to customers or being in a bowling center. So we really appreciate you tuning in, and we look forward to you tuning in next week again. We're going to be here. Rain, sleet, or snow, we're going to be here. So our job is to equip you with more practical tips, ideas, and trends that'll help you grow your center and achieve new levels of success. Remember to share this podcast with your entire team. The more seeds you plant, the bigger the crop. Until next time, listeners, keep growing your business one happy customer at a time.